Hello. Hey guys, it's TLR here, and we're back for the team builder for week, I believe it's 7. As you might have noticed, there was no team builder or battle for week 6 due to my opponent forfeiting. Unfortunately, they were unable to battle, so um, that's why there was no week 6 team builder battle because the battle didn't happen. So and I didn't end up making a team builder before I found out that that my opponent forfeit, so I just didn't bother building a team. So yeah, that's just a heads up for why there was nothing last week. But here we are back again for week 7. If it's not week 7, that's my bad. Uh, but whatever week it is, we are playing Professor Snag and oh, I forgot his team name. It's Minnesota Nidokings. Okay. We're facing Professor Snag and the Minnesota Nidokings. And he's got a pretty powerful team, as you can see on the right hand side of the screen. Um, but there is one weakness in his team, and that is the fact that his Pokemon are relatively slow. So if I can get the speed advantage, then I can, you know, sweep from there. So this is the team I cooked up for this week. Let's just get right into it. So here is our first Pokemon. It's going to be Gyarados, Mega Gyarados, coming back again, and for a good reason too. After Dragon Dance, anything bar Scarf, I believe Scarf Starmie. It outspeeds everything bar Scarf Starmie. And Oko's a good portion of his team. Starmie goes down, Dragonite goes down through multi-scale thanks to Mold Breaker. Magnezone goes down even if it's sturdy because of Mold Breaker. Like, nothing wants to take a hit from this at +1. Bar, I guess, the Mega Venusaur, although Ice Fang will be doing a good chunk. Again, thanks to Mold Breaker. It's going to come in really handy this week because he has so many things that rely on their abilities to tank hits, and Gyarados can just hit them really hard through their abilities. So Gyarados running just 3 attacks with Dragon Dance, Crunch, Ice Fang, Earthquake are going to be the 3 attacks we're running. No Waterfall, even though it does hit like DNC and Blaziken. They're both also hit by Earthquake, which hits just hard enough, and it also gives us room for other coverage moves. So Crunch is there for the Starmie. It also hits Blade, and it's just a nice, reliable stab move for anything that doesn't get hit super effective. Ice Fang is there for the Venusaur and the Dragonite, gonna hit really hard despite their abilities. Again, thanks to Mold Breaker. And then Earthquake is mostly there for the Magnezone, also one-hit KOing Blaziken and doing a good chunk to DNC as well. Depending on the spread, it can even Oko, although it would have to be a more offensive DNC, and I don't know if he'll bring that, but it's definitely a possibility. This is the spread we're going to be running. Max speed, this allows us to outspeed everything on his team after a Dragon Dance, and even if we don't get a Dragon Dance up, we outspeed everything bar Starmie. So, and then the attack IVs, as you can see, with this much attack, we don't even need a Dragon Dance to Oko offensive Dragonite with Ice Fang, so that's really good. That can really pressure him to switch if it's our Gyarados versus his Dragonite, so that's good. And then the rest is just into HP, gives him a little more bulk, allows him to have a bit easier of a time setting up. So yeah, pretty straightforward Gyarados, but it should be able to put in a lot of work this week. Next up is going to be your boy LeBron coming back again for this week with a pretty new, interesting set. We're going to be running the Psychium Z this week with Shadow Ball, Psychic, Will-O-Wisp, and Taunt. Shadow Ball is just a reliable stab. He doesn't have very many good ghost answers, bar that type null. So Shadow Ball is a pretty spammable move. Psychic is there solely for the Mega Venusaur with the Psychium Z, as you can see. We're running a Modest Nature, which I'll get into the spread in a sec, but as you can see, if he's running max HP and no Spadef on his Venusaur, Shattered Psych is a guaranteed one-hit KO. And then Will-O-Wisp is there because, again, Gengar being so strong forces a lot of switch-ins. So if we can catch like a switch-in to type Null with a Will-O-Wisp, then that's going to really cripple it cause it to do a lot less damage. It's also nice to burn stuff like the Dragonite, and even chipping away at the Venusaur with Will-O-Wisp is good. Taunt is there because he does have a good amount of Pokemon that would want to use status moves. Maybe not even support status moves, but being able to taunt the Dragonite to prevent a Dragon Dance, or taunt the Venusaur to prevent a Leech Seed is just really good. So, and Focus Blast, while it does hit the type null, is not overly necessary because with Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, and then Psychic's chance to Spidef drop, your boy LeBron actually has a good chance to 1v1 the type null. So, yep, looking forward to Gengar coming back. Hopefully he can put in a lot of work this week. Next up is going to be Clefable. This is going to be a very similar set. It's almost identical to the set we ran against Scrawn. Going to be Unaware with the leftovers instead of the Fire EMZ this time, and just about max defense. This allows us to take on Dragonite 100%, well, just about 100%, because with Unaware, even if it's running Iron Head has a 1.2% chance to 2-hit KO, and that's if it's an Adamant Nature, which I don't know if he'll run an Adamant Nature, but it's possible. So that's just why I maximized his defenses. Putting that last point into defense doesn't actually make a difference as far as Calyx goes, so that's why I made it 244, and then just put the rest into Spidef. The Spidef allows it to check non-offensive Starmie as well, so that's also pretty cool. And the moves are going to be Moonblast, Flamethrower, Wish, and Protect. Again, not very complex right there. Moonblast, nice reliable stab. Flamethrower can hit do Blade and Magnezone on the switch. Wish Protect not only gives it pretty reliable recovery, but it can also allow me to wish pass to stuff like Bronzong, Nidoking, Gengar, stuff like that to keep them healthy. So that should be good. Next up is going to be Bronzong. Bronzong is actually going to be running a bit different of a set this week. We're actually going to be running Fizdef, just maxed out HP and defense. And this not only allows us to check Dragonite as a secondary check, in case, Clefable gets flinched down by Iron Head or something, but it also is a nice check to Rampardos. If Rampardos isn't running Fire Punch, we do have the Levitate, so we can't get hit by Earthquake. Our moves are going to be Heavy Slam, Earthquake, Toxic, and Stealth Rock. We're opting for Heavy Slam over Gyro Ball this week because Heavy Slam is a guaranteed one-hit KO on just about every just about every Diancie, unless it's like Max Fizz Def. Heavy Slam is going to be a guaranteed one-hit KO. Earthquake is there mostly for the Magnezone, but it also does hit the Blade pretty hard as well. Toxic is there because Bronzong, even though it doesn't have any Spidef investment, is still a good check to that Regice, and having Toxic can really help whittle that thing down. It can also whittle stuff like Type Null, and if we can land it on the Dragonite, that thing won't be staying around for very long either, although we do have to watch out in case the Dragonite does have the Lumberry. And then last but not least, of course, Stealth Rocks. Pretty much every week we've run Bronzong, we've run Stealth Rocks, and that's just because it's a very reliable rocker. Not much can take it down in one hit, so if we want to get rocks up, that shouldn't be too hard. Again, Levitate, this allows us to be immune to Earthquakes from not only Rampardos, but if my opponent decides to run Dragonite with Earthquake and not Fire Punch, we wall that as well. If my opponent decides to run Earthquake Venusaur trying to hit Bronzong with that thing, it won't be able to touch us. And then the Shed Shell, because he does have that Magnezone. I did see how much damage Scrawn did, because you might be wondering, hey, didn't Scrawn have Magnezone as well? Yes, Scrawn ended up trading the Magnezone away, so now Professor Snag has it. And after seeing how much damage that Specs Thunderbolt did to Bronzong, I do not want my Bronzong to be forced into a position where it gets trapped and knocked out. So that is why we're opting for the Shed Shell this week. Going to try to keep Bronzong around longer. So next up is going to be Nidoking. Pretty standard set. Life Orb, Sheer Force, Earth Power, Flamethrower, Ice Beam, and Sucker Punch. So Earth Power, he doesn't have a lot of switch-ins to ground-type moves. He does have the Dragonite, but that is why we have Ice Beam. And then he has like Venusaur and Regice, which can have a lot of Spidef, although Regice gets hit by the Flamethrower. And then Nidoking doesn't really get a lot of other options to hit stuff like Mega Venusaur and Type Null. So we're just going to have to whittle it with Earth Power. Sucker Punch is there, of course, for the Starmie because that guarantees outspeeds us. So with Sucker Punch, that's super effective. Life Orb boosted, that'll do a lot. Although it won't OHKO, so we will need a little bit of chip. But if we can get that chip, maybe we can catch that Starmie by surprise and knock it out. As you can see, our spread, it's just 220 speed with a speed boosting nature, because that allows us to outspeed everything on his team bar the Starmie. 252 special attack just allows us to hit as hard as possible, which is kind of necessary in this matchup because he does have a lot of bulky Pokemon, and then the rest is put into attack, so Sucker Punch can do a little bit more when we need to click it. So yeah, pretty straightforward Nidoking. Hopefully it can do a lot of work. Last but not least, Cryogonal is coming off the bench finally since week 1. Hasn't gotten to see a lot of usage, but luckily, since my opponent does have a lot more bulky Pokemon as opposed to offensive, Cryogonal can actually put in a good amount of work because all those special attackers he has, stuff like Regice, Starmie, and Mega Venusaur, don't really have a lot of offensive power that they can threaten Cryogonal with. So I'm going to be running Leftovers, Levitate because that's the only ability he can run, Freeze Dry, Hidden Power, Ground, Rapid Spin, and Recover. Freeze Dry not only hits Starmie super effective, but it also hits Dragonite really hard, and is just a nice stab move. No need for Ice Beam if we already have Freeze Dry, so that's why that's there. Hidden Power Ground hits Magnezone actually pretty decently hard. Now, it's not an OHKO, but if we can get just a little bit of chip on it, or hit it with a Hidden Power Ground on the switch in, then we'll easily be able to 2-hit KO. It does a decent chunk to do Blade, although with the Eviolite, we're going to definitely need some chip. Cryogonal's not going to be 1v1ing Doublade anytime soon, but it is nice if we can catch the Doublade on this switch in with a Hidden Power Ground. It'll do a hearty chunk. Rapid Spin is there for clearing hazards, since we do have the Gyarados and the Gengar as well. Our offensive Pokemon don't want to be whittled down. By hazards, so having that option to Rapid Spin should be really helpful. We can Rapid Spin in front of all those Pokemon that I just mentioned, those bulky Pokemon that don't really threaten my Cryogonal, so that'll be good. Recover is there to make sure Cryogonal stays around for as long as possible. And we do have a bit fancy of a spread here. As you can see, 252 HP, 140 defense, 20 special attack, 36 special defense, and 60 speed. So we always have that one Pokemon that has an interesting spread. So let's just get right into it. As you can see, with our special defense investment, 2 Life Orb Hydro Pumps from Starmie will never 2-hit KO. Even if my leftovers get knocked off or tricked away or something like that, we could easily eat Hydro Pumps from Starmie. So this makes Cryogonal a very good check to that Pokemon. And then with our defense investment, if my opponent is running Adamant Dragonite without Fire Punch, so if their best way to hit my Cryogonal with the Dragonite is Dragon Claw, then even at +1, we're guaranteed to live that. And as you can see, Freeze Dry does a good chunk if we break it out of multi-scale. So 165 is almost a guaranteed 1-hit KO. So that's really cool. The speed allows us to again outspeed all of those base 80s because that's the fastest thing on his team, bar his Starmie, and then the rest is put into special attacks just to make him a little bit more powerful. So that's going to be the team. I think I forgot to go over Gengar's spread actually. You did see how much damage he does with a modest nature. The speed again allows him to outspeed those base 80s because he doesn't have enough speed to outspeed the Starmie, so there's no real need to go any faster. So with the defense, as you can see, even if he's running a more offensive DNC, Earth Power is not going to knock him out. So that's just why the EVs are the way they are on Gengar. Not like super fancy. It's just that he doesn't need any more speed when my opponent's team is quite slow right off the bat. So, yep. I think that's everything. That's going to be the team we're going to be running this week. Should be able to put in a good amount of work hopefully we can cop another W, keep the streak going. Even though two of my opponents have ended up having to forfeit, we are still 6-0, I am pretty sure. So, we're on our way, guys. Anyway, that's all I have to say for the team builder. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with the battle. So, goodbye.